Hello, welcome to our meditation for acceptance and peace. Things are changing very drastically, very rapidly, and far beyond any of our control at the moment. And when that happens, it's a really worrying time. It's really natural to worry how much things will change, how quickly they'll change, how much worse they'll get, and when it'll all end. That's really human, that's really natural. And you kind of get swept up in it, you kind of get drawn into a bit of a whirlwind really. And the mind takes over and starts to come up with many different things that may or may not happen, and then it starts to kind of get a bit worse and then a bit worse, and then you're convinced that these things will happen, and then the mind goes even more crazy and more whirlwindy. So it's really natural, it's really human in times like this to just think that everything is going wrong. Everything is going to get worse, everything is horrendous, and it affects all aspects of your life. So with that in mind, the meditation that I'm going to guide you through today is based on a meditation practice by Jack Cornfield, which is called Is It True? And it really helps you to bring into question all of these things that your mind is telling you it's fact, definitely going to happen. All of these things will explode or cease to be or become more difficult. And it's really important in times like these to remember that the one thing that you really can control is how much you let things like this affect you. So hopefully this meditation will cut through that kind of whirlwind that sweeps you up and takes you away, and will give you a sense of peace and a sense of perspective and a sense of calm when it really feels like everything is in turmoil. So come to a comfortable seat. I'm on a yoga mat, I've got a block here, but you definitely don't need to be sat on the floor. There's nothing noble about sitting on the floor. You're very welcome to sit on a chair, on the edge of your bed, on a sofa. Do prop underneath your hips, so if your knees are higher than your hips, it can get very weighty. These femur bones, these thigh bones become very heavy. So just grab some cushions and things and put them underneath your hips. Lift you up a little bit. You don't have to be cross-legged, not at all. You can kneel, have your legs out in front of you. As long as you're comfy, that's fine. We've got about half an hour together today. So if you experience discomfort, do move around. If you experience pins and needles, take a moment, stretch out the body and then come back to the meditation. But the best thing is to get as comfy as possible at this moment. And then sitting up nice and tall. So spine really long. Think about making some length through the sides of the neck, through the sides of the body. And just rest the weight of your head onto your spine so it's not dropping forwards or dropping backwards in any way. Let the shoulders melt down away from the ears. Let the arms just be heavy, like they're hanging, like heavy curtains. Let the hands relax wherever they're comfortable. And then closing the eyes, and if you're not sure, you're not comfortable with that today, then lowering the gaze. Softening the skin of the forehead, the temples. The hinge of the jaw can be an area that holds such a lot of tension. Allow the hinge of the jaw to release. And rest the tongue down into the base of the mouth. Just paying attention to your natural breath, that's all. Being present as your body naturally inhales for you, and as it naturally exhales for you. Noticing whereabouts in your body your breath goes into, whether it's really the top of the lungs. And whether the breath, now that you've taken your attention to it, is starting to go a little bit lower towards the bottom of the lungs. Now that you've taken your attention to your breath, you might notice that you've naturally started to breathe a little longer and a little deeper anyway. So let's work with that. Inhaling in through the nose or through the mouth, and think about sending the breath into the sides of the lungs and then also into the back of the lungs as well. So the entire rib cage starts to expand with these deeper inhales. And let the exhales be smooth and full and complete. And there might be lots of thoughts going through your mind at the moment. There might be sounds in your environment or in my environment that are a little distracting. When your mind wanders off, please don't worry at all. No one is expecting that the mind will just clear because you're seated, eyes closed or softened, and you're bringing your attention to the breath. The mind will completely still be going, maybe a bit whirlwindy. Just remember, when the mind wanders off somewhere, you can take your focus and bring it back to the breath. So as your body inhales, feel the inhale come in, send it deeper into the lungs, think about expanding the lungs a little more. And as you exhale, think about making the exhale smooth and full and complete. And as you exhale, maybe letting there be a little more softness in the shoulders, in the face, in the hands, the feet, wherever you hold tension. Remember, the mind will wander around, and when it does, don't worry, just guide it back to the breath. We're going to take about 10 more breaths together like this. We'll all be breathing at a different pace, so you might do some more, you might do a few less. Perhaps experimenting with making the inhale longer and deeper still. If you feel breathless or lightheaded at any point, just breathe naturally. Ignore me, breathe naturally until you feel better. Inhale, full, deep, complete, right down into the bottom of the lungs. And the exhale out, smooth and complete, and letting go of any physical tension that you are noticing, that you can feel. And then let go of that deep breath. Let the breath just return to natural. Let it be a natural breath. Let your body breathe for you. And allow your mind to focus on the current situation that we have going on at the moment. Allow your mind to just wander around how you've been affected so far. Let your mind be free, wandering over any impact that it's had on you. Think about any impact you can predict. Worries that you have. Concerns that you have, anxieties that you have. Just let the mind be free. Let it think about all the different stories and scenarios, things that you're sure about. Think about how the current situation has affected those that you love, the places that you go, the things that you do, how your life might be different for the next few weeks or months. And again, what your worries are, what your concerns are, what you're dreading. I know this is a bit negative, but bear with me, there's a plan in place. So just consolidating all of that around the current situation, your thoughts, your concerns, your anxieties. And then really kindly, with compassion and curiosity, ask yourself, what am I sure will or won't happen? What am I sure will or won't happen? What are you sure of? And keeping in mind the current situation, your concerns, your anxieties, and then also with that tenderness, that compassion, ask yourself, what do I look at with a closed mind? What do I look at with a closed mind? And keeping in mind the current situation, and again with compassion, with an open mind, allow yourself to just answer this question: how do I hold the world with a closed mind? How do I hold the world with a closed mind? Just be here for a moment. Let the breath be natural. There's no wrong answers. You just let in your mind work through this, okay? So keeping in mind something that you just thought of, so maybe a problem or a consequence or an anxiety or a worry, and now ask yourself, can I know that what I believe is absolutely true? Can I know that what I believe is absolutely true? Just holding in mind any problems, consequences, worries that you have around coronavirus. And with that tenderness still, ask yourself, is there another way to see this? Is there another way to see this? And keep in mind your issue, your consequences, your worries, your predictions. And ask yourself, what if the opposite is true? What if the opposite is true? Just sit here for a moment. It's possible all sorts of emotions are coming up, just go with it. So keeping in mind any issues, problems that you have predicted, and again with that kindness, ask yourself, what is the suffering that comes from holding this view as fixed? What is the suffering that comes from holding this view as fixed. And lastly, very kindly, ask yourself, how does it feel to drop what you were thinking and look again fresh? How does it feel to drop what you were thinking and just look again fresh? Just take a deep breath, a really deep breath. Big full inhale in, big full exhale out to let go. Inhaling in, squeeze the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale, let the shoulders drop down away from the ears. Keep the gaze soft or the eyes closed. And just give yourself a moment to observe how you're feeling. Maybe be a witness, an observer of just how powerful the mind is, convincing you that all of these different scenarios will play out. And remembering that by asking yourself a few questions about what is right, what if the opposite is true, what do you see happening, you can kind of cut through that whirlwind and hopefully have a bit of a fresh start, a bit of perspective. There is so much that's happening at the moment that is outside of anybody's control. But remember, the one thing that is well within your control is how much you let this affect you, how much you let this change your mindset, your mentality, your mental health. Of course, there are always going to be major worries, major concerns. You can always come back to this meditation or to any stillness. Ask yourself, what is fact? What is really true? And what has the mind made up? What is it making worse? Okay. Let's bring the hands together into prayer. Pause here for a moment. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then rub the hands together. I'm going to generate a bit of heat in the hands here. And then bring the hands over the eyes, let the heat just transfer into the eyes. Blink the eyes open into the palms of the hands, and we'll bring the hands back to prayer. I really hope that that's helped. Deep breaths whenever you need them. We'll get through this together. Namaste.